Hello, and welcome to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. I'm Isla Garcia, master's degree of nutrition science and registered dietitian, and I'm going to make weight loss realistic, sustainable, and uncomplicated for your busy lifestyle. On this podcast, me and my team of registered dietitians will decipher the latest nutrition research, dissect fad diets, and discuss social media trends for you so you can feel confident knowing what to eat to achieve your health goals. Research suggests that most weight loss programs aren't successful, but my experience has taught me that this is not because the participants aren't committed. It's because those diets are designed by non-nutrition professionals and center around severe restrictions. We are here to provide the facts about the science of weight loss so you can have the success you want and continue living your best life. Welcome back to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. It's Isla, your CEO, founder, and host of the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. And I'm excited to have Courtney, our coach, back with us today. So thank you so much for coming on, Courtney.
Hello, glad to be back.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to dive into a fun article about continuous glucose monitoring because I've seen like all over TikTok. And even my husband asked me about it the other day because he saw it. He's like, should I be doing this? And then we're going to talk about the upcoming theme for Millennial Living, or it might be already out by the time we have this live, all about grocery shopping. So let's go ahead and dive in and just catch up a little bit. Any updates? It's Friday recording. Are you doing anything fun this weekend or any foods you've been loving or anything like that?
Well, this weekend we're having a cookout with my family. Tomorrow, my younger sister is actually in medical school in Granada. So she's actually going back this weekend. So we're having a little going away get together for her. Now, as far as like foods that I've been loving lately, I feel like because we're getting into the warmer months, I'm always super just excited about all the fruits. Like watermelon is my absolute favorite fruit. So just when they start to come in season, I just get super, super excited.
Yeah, I forget that we're like on that season. I need to go get some. I will literally go through like one every like 2 days or something because they're so good.
Exactly. Great way to stay hydrated too when it's so hot out.
Yeah. My recent obsession is heart of palm. I've like always been on the lookout for when I go to like Tex-Mex places, especially being in Texas. It's kind of hard for me to find like healthy options that I really like that have a lot of vegetables. Like I know we can do the taco salad. I know we can do like the fajitas and stuff, but I'm kind of getting burned out of those. But recently I found that I don't know if like heart of palm is like a naturally like occurring produce item in more like Latin American cities, but I've been finding at a lot of Tex-Mex places around here that they have like heart of palm salads and they're so good and so easy to find canned. Do you ever eat those? I like forgot it was even a thing.
It's funny you say that. Like, I feel like several years ago, I went through a phase where I was buying them a lot. But now that you say that, I'll have to buy a can this week because I haven't had them in a while. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, what about you? Do you have anything fun going on this weekend? Or I know you just got back from vacation.
Yeah, I got back from a girls trip. It was super fun and very much needed in Cancun, and it was a really funny place. It was like a lot of like older people, but it was fun because that's kind of our vibe. Just like being at the pool all day. And what do I have going on this weekend? This weekend is kind of our chill weekend because then the next weekend we're actually back home to North Carolina for my brother's wedding. Actually, it'll be in Charleston, South Carolina, where he lives. So this weekend we're just kind of like resting. It is like 105, 106 degrees like every day here so far. And so it's literally all we can really do is like go to the pool. We're going to see the Elvis movie tonight. I'm excited about that.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that too.
Yeah. And then I think we're going to meet up with some new friends, trying to make friends here. So we're going to the big city of Dallas because we live like in Fort Worth. Dallas is like 30 to 40 minutes away. So we're going to go meet up with some people there. And I don't know if you had any like fun client shares. I have a story if you don't have one that I wanted to share.
I don't know. One of my clients, that renewed. So I've been working with her for a while now. She hit her 20-pound down mark. So that was
What?
really exciting. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, give us some inside scoop. Like how did she do that for people who are also trying to lose weight?
She was someone who I think just didn't have a really regular eating pattern. She was like really erratic and kind of all over the place with like her eating times and whatnot. So I feel like she was super, super active, like always in the gym. So a lot of muscle mass already. So I feel like we really just needed to figure out how to fuel her body adequately throughout the day. And she's just been a burning machine since then, I feel like.
Wow, that's awesome. So it sounded like a changing her nutrition a little bit, but you didn't really have to change her exercise. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, she was already very active and like had built up a lot of muscle mass, but she just was eating so erratically. I don't think she was fueling her body properly, so it didn't have all the right energy on board and the right macros that she needed for what she was doing. So once we worked that out, everything really just kind of started to fall into place.
Awesome. Yeah. Love to hear it. It's always interesting because I mean, even before I started like helping people lose weight, I thought it would be like really cut and dry, not really having to have helped like many people before, but it does really like, I feel like it's so individualized, like what recommendations I have to give. Cause some people I feel like it is like they're missing the exercise piece or some people are missing the nutrition piece. And even somebody who like exercises, it sounds like you didn't even have to really do anything. If their nutrition's off, then it's hard to see results, or it seems like that's what I see sometimes. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely.
One of my clients that I want to brag on kind of had, I guess, like the opposite problem. She was a referral from another client that I had before, and I had a client did some help me out with getting some business, and she convinced her other client, I mean, her friend to sign on. And she said in the discovery call that she really didn't know what she was doing. Like she felt like she was eating pretty healthfully, and just really, didn't know. She felt like she exercised a lot. She didn't feel like anything was like off balance. And but she never really tracked that much before. And so then when she started tracking, she realized she really was eating like a lot of calories, like average like 2,700 for the week. And so that ended up making sense. And just from there, we were able to make like simple tweaks of looking through, because she felt like she was really hungry all the time, and adding in like more protein to her breakfast or implementing like a midday protein shake instead of just like anything she found around her office really helped. We're only in like the first 2 weeks or like a month. So we are still going to eventually work on adding more produce in. That's kind of where we're at now, but she's already down like 3 pounds, which is awesome. Because sometimes I even get nervous when they say, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, oh, well, hopefully you don't have like something metabolic really wrong that's going to be really challenging. But for her, it really was like, she just really didn't understand what she was eating, and like tracking really helped. So that's another just kind of like reason that I feel like I like people to track, because we can really like just see what you're actually doing.
It's just a tool that we're using for the time being. We don't recommend tracking every single thing you put in your mouth for the entire rest of your life, but because we don't respond to all calories the same, we need this different combination of macro and micronutrients. You might be eating a whole lot more calories than you realize, just because you're eating foods that aren't really filling you up well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And now she's eating less calories and feeling more full because we're already maximizing. Like she went from eating like only 40 grams of protein a day to now she's eating like 100 and already feels like so much better. And it's probably going to feel even better once we start working on produce. But yeah, I just kind of want to brag on her. Do you feel like you're tired of trying every new diet out there whenever you're ready to lose weight, but you never really find long-term success because it's either too restrictive or just not conducive to your lifestyle? Well, then let me tell you about our 3-month lifestyle reset program. This is an individualized weight loss approach where you'll be going through our proven 6-step method, and you'll be led by a registered dietitian. By becoming a client of the program, you'll be able to learn how to control your weight, increase your energy and confidence, and also improve your overall well-being. Not to be dramatic, but a lot of clients tell us that they actually change their lives by going through the program and finally find a sustainable weight loss solution when they actually haven't found that with any other program. If you are interested in becoming a client, sign up for a discovery call on our website, themillennialnutritionist.com, with me, Isla Garcia, and I'll help match you with one of our registered dietitian coaches based off of your challenges and their nutrition expertise. If you're ready to find a sustainable weight loss solution in a non-judgmental and encouraging environment, I hope you'll connect with us soon. So we can move into our article review. I've been really liking doing this kind of segment so we can highlight some things that are going on in the social media world. But we've talked a lot about all of a sudden there's like this huge influx of diabetes things being like used for weight loss from different medications to today, the article that I found is about a continuous glucose monitor. So in the dietitian world, this isn't really anything new this article is from Moneycontrol, but I see these all over Instagram and like TikTok ads now where they're being advertised to help people lose weight by being able to monitor your glucose response, which I actually interviewed for a continuous glucose monitor company before I started this, because I really think that these types of devices are awesome for people who have diabetes because they really have something wrong, and being able to monitor your like glucose response at all times, it can like really save somebody's life. But of course, now somebody's trying to twist it into like a weight loss scheme. And so the article just kind of talks about what's going on in that world and like what could it be used for weight loss? Could it not? And some professionals weigh in and kind of say that they don't feel like it's the best. But what do you kind of think? Like, what's your 2 cents about it?
It's claiming to give people key insights to help them, to empower them to learn more about their body. But the thing is, what is it really telling someone who doesn't have like an impaired glucose response or isn't dealing with insulin resistance? Like, we already have measures like the glycemic load, for example, that tell us, okay, a person with a normal glucose response, this is about how much your blood sugar is going to be spiked from eating X item. And so, I don't know, I feel like people just have difficulty with gray area. Like they hear about people with insulin resistance and not having a proper glucose response and glucose and insulin both remaining high. And that is unhealthy. And we absolutely need ways to address that for those people. But if you're a person with just a normal, healthy glucose response, yeah, if you eat something with a lot of carbs or like simple carbs, simple sugars, your blood sugar is going to spike, but your body is going to release insulin. It's going to take that glucose into the cells and it's not staying spiked and causing damage. So I think because people have heard so much information that's out there now and good for people with the insulin resistance, they think, oh, I need to apply that to myself, and any amount of glucose or insulin spike is automatically bad.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think kind of like what you were saying, what I was thinking was like, I just feel like this isn't the answer to weight loss. Like, it's just, there's so many, like the fact that your like blood glucose is going to respond differently is like such a minute part of the whole problem. If it is even a problem for you, it's not a problem for everybody who needs to lose weight. It's like ignoring the fact that we also need to look at exercise and we need to look at stress levels. And we need to look at like what you're eating and things like that, instead of just like having this like tight response over this like one thing. And at least from what I understand about like glucose and insulin and things like that, is we already have a pretty good test. Like you said, if I suspect that somebody might have like insulin resistance or something, like it's pretty easily resolved just from going to get a basic blood like metabolic lab test. We don't need to like be measuring it all times of the day, at least from like what I understand. And then from that one simple lab, then I can know, okay, maybe we do need to look at like your carb intake. But for a healthy person, I mean, your blood glucose level should change throughout the day as you're consuming, food and carbs. And I thought it was interesting. Well, I also like attached this TikTok that this doctor commented on, saying that like it even could maybe trigger like obsession in another way. Like if we just don't need to be also recording this extra data, like how did you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense to me because I mean, the way these things are sort of being marketed, it seems, is like, oh, anything that you get a spike from, you should just automatically avoid, which for someone with a healthy glucose response isn't really the case. And so if you're a person with healthy glucose, healthy insulin response, but you're just watching those spikes all day and like feeling like you need to alter something, like you're doing something wrong because your body is responding normally to the food that you're eating, yeah, I could definitely see where that would cause some like, psychological issues.
Yeah. Cause again, it's just like not even the problem that needs to be looked at, I feel like. And it's just, I feel like it's almost like too much information for just like the normal person. Cause what is somebody going to do with it? Like for somebody who has diabetes, they need this information so they know how much insulin to give themselves. But for the
Right.
normal person, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, and, obviously we know even for people with a normal glucose response, like you can't sit around just eating candy all day and lose weight. So, yeah, I just don't super see the value in this sort of thing for a healthy person.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So if anybody's out there listening, thinking they need this, if you have diabetes, yes, I think it's great. I think it's a great advancement in technology, but for a normal person, don't like waste your money on something like this, I think. But moving on to today's topic. So today we're going to talk about grocery shopping. So this is kind of a introduction to our millennial living theme for the month. And in this month's theme, we're talking, like I said, about grocery shopping. And so we'll cover a module in millennial living this month, also a demo, a PDF, and a new challenge for the month. If you don't know, we do monthly challenges where if you enter them and follow the rules, where you basically just like post something once a week that has to do with the challenge that helps with weight loss or overall wellness, then you get entered to win a gift card to somewhere that you choose. And I already made the module to this. I normally make these, and the modules are just like the 101, like grocery shopping 101. So I kind of already gave a in-depth guide of how to do this, like step by step. But today, Courtney and I are going to dive into just kind of our brief tips overall on what we think is important when it comes to grocery shopping and weight loss or staying healthy or kind of anything that you think that comes up with this. But starting from the top, so we can frame this in a way of understanding why we even need to know about grocery shopping. What do you think can be a benefit, or how can being a smart grocery shopper really help with weight loss, do you think?
With, weight loss or really any nutrition goal, I mean, probably any goal in general, planning is really everything. So without the right groceries on hand, you're already setting yourself up to be at the drive-through after work, looking for something for dinner because you don't have the right ingredients to make something, or maybe what you had is going to take too long to prepare. So yeah, having the right things on hand really gives you more control, and you're not having to just pick the fastest option.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think something that I hear a lot with clients who struggle with grocery shopping or struggle with like their weight in general is they tend to like run out of food. And so it makes it hard to meet a produce goal when you don't have it at hand. And yeah, fast food isn't like going to be the easiest place to get produce. It definitely can happen, but it's a little bit harder. And I think you have to like think a little bit more instead of just like that gut reaction, as opposed to like having more produce in your house, like on the counter with that like fruit bowl. And that's the first thing you grab instead.
Yeah, like you were saying about a lot of clients running out towards the end of the week. One of my clients that I worked with recently, we ended up realizing she needed to do like a second grocery order, like closer to the weekend, because she didn't really like any frozen or canned produce. She only wanted fresh. And if she bought all the fresh produce at the beginning of the week, a lot of times it wasn't good by the end of the week. And then she ends up eating out for every single meal on the weekend. So yeah, we ended up her doing like an online grocery order later in the week just to make sure she had some things on hand for the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's actually what I was going to put as one of my tips. Because a lot of my clients say the same thing. Like they have to come to terms when it's okay to go to the grocery store more than once per week. And especially with all the things I think we have at our disposal now, like Instacart and other like things like that. It makes it really easy if you like don't have time to go to the grocery store. Cause sometimes that's my problem is I just like don't have time come Thursday, but it's easy just to sit at night and schedule it for the next day. One of my clients really impressed me. She took initiative because when we were making again, normally I feel like this grocery shopping comes to play when we start talking about produce, at least for my clients, because you do have to have like a lot on hand to kind of meet our goal. And she was able to get grocery deliveries to her work. And so that way she had like stuff on hand and then stuff at home, which I've used with a lot of people who just like work around the clock. A lot of my like doctors or people who, some teachers even who need to spend a lot of time at school and don't have like any flexibility in leaving or anything like that throughout the day, having that grocery delivery stock of shelf stable things like applesauce and mandarin oranges and protein bars and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. And I recommend that to a lot of my clients now as well. On the opposite end, what happens if you don't know how to like adequately grocery shop or aren't a smart shopper? Like, how can this cause negative health effects or weight gain or anything like that?
Well, like I was mentioning, if you don't have things on hand that you are actually going to want to eat or want to prepare, or you just like grabbed some produce that you're like, oh, I'll use this lettuce and make a salad, but then you have no salad toppings, then your produce ends up going bad and you still end up at the drive-through. So
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying just helping yourself in those times where you're like stressed out. Cause of course it's easy. I hear this all the time on discovery calls where it's easy to meet this like super strict plan when everything is like going right, but that's not life. And so it sounds like you're saying like by making sure you're like adequately stocked, making that plan at the grocery store, it's easier to get through those like stressful times.
yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that until they get in the habit of planning ahead. That I think they get in their head, oh, taking a time to make a plan is going to actually like cost me more time, but really it ends up saving you a lot of time and stress later on because you've already got the plan in place, when it's at the end of the day and you're exhausted and hungry, like you already know what you're going to eat.
Yeah, a lot of my clients say that too, where they feel like it's taking so much time, but when they set themselves up for success, it's easier. And then you don't have to, it's one less thing to think about throughout the week. Just think about it one time. But hopping into our tips, so we'll go back and forth and give some tips on what we see with our clients or even just in our personal lives of what we think is going to help you be a better grocery shopper for your health goals and weight loss. But why don't you take it away? What is your first tip when it comes to how to be, I guess, a better grocery shopper?
Yeah, one of my tips is to have good sauces or dressings or ingredients that you can like throw together into a quick sauce or a dressing. Because, we all know we need to eat vegetables, but boiled broccoli isn't really going to cut it. You want something to flavor it and spice things up. So I have like a few quick sauces that I like to make, like a peanut sauce or like a Dijon aioli or like a maple balsamic vinaigrette. And I'll just have, the oils or the Dijon or the maple syrup, like the stuff I need on hand that's mostly shelf stable or can last in the fridge for a long time. And that way, if I need a quick meal, I can just roast some veggies, get a protein, and drizzle some sauce on top of it.
That's awesome. I never would have thought of that. I'm not like a sauce person, but back when I was doing like Marley Spoon all the time, I recently stopped. But
Mm,
I realized that was like the trick to a lot of the simple meals is like the sauce was like
yeah.
what elevated it. We'll have to maybe link some like ideas in our like recipe email or even in the membership because I never thought about that. So you like, are you do that after you cook, like you put it all together? Or is it more like a hummus like type of raw sauce?
Like peanut sauce, for example, I'll usually just make that like on the side and just top it with it. Some of them I'll cook the stuff in the sauce, but most of the time I'm doing it just like as a topping, just to kind of flavor everything. Because I mean, you know, even as a dietitian who like helps people do this all the time, I myself don't love like planning a super elaborate meal for multiple times a week. So I really rely on having like flavorful sauces just to put in with some protein and some veggies and flavor it.
Cool. Yeah, I love that tip. And I think relating it to weight loss, like you said, I think people are more likely to eat more produce and lower calorie items when they know how to make it taste good. Because typically high calorie items, they taste better. There's a little bit more fat, sugar, stuff like that. So we can be more creative with how we make produce taste good with, I think, those sauces, which is kind of how that relates back. One of my tips when you go to the grocery store, I think buying a mix of fresh and frozen produce. So, one thing that I hear a lot is that the produce goes bad. And so then it discourages people from wanting to buy it because it's a lot of money, and especially grocery prices right now. Like, I totally get it. And so planning some like backup items. So, like, especially with the summer now, I've learned from a lot of my clients. I think that's the fun thing about being a dietitian is I get a lot of fun food ideas. That one of my clients last year, she was like, I just snack on a frozen mango, like in the summertime. I was like, that is a
Yeah.
good idea. That frozen berries is really fun too, like at the end of the day. And so that can be a good like produce snack, even for dessert or to throw in oatmeal. I've been loving like frozen berries and oatmeal, and that helps to not have to keep it because berries tend to go bad, I feel like, so quickly, especially strawberries. And then yeah, doing the mix of other like fresh produce like bananas or I'm like listing only fruits, but yeah, I think just getting that mix that way, if you go through your raw produce first, then you're not like having to only deal with this like moldy produce at the end of the week. And I think you can kind of fall back on those like fresh and frozen things. But do you like frozen mango? I feel like you're going to say something, or do you like that idea?
Yeah, no, I actually really like frozen mango, and it's nice too because I feel like mangoes are kind of like avocados in that you have to get them when they're
Mhm.
like perfectly ripe or they're already bad. The canned and frozen produce was actually one of the ones I was gonna say as well. I've been really into like the stir fry veggie mixes with like the baby corn and like the
Mhm.
snap peas, and I really like those little water
Oh
chestnut.
yeah.
Have you eaten tempeh
Oh
before?
yeah. That's like fermented. What is it?
Tofu.
Okay.
Yeah, that with some soy sauce and tempeh is great. The frozen stir fry. What other? Oh, you were talking about the frozen berries too. I really like. I can't think of what the brand is, but they have like the wild blueberries
Oh
frozen.
yeah.
Um, so they're supposed to be even a little bit higher antioxidants than the regular blueberries, and having those on hand for smoothies or to add to oatmeal or yogurt. I always buy like the biggest bag of those I can find just to have them on hand.
Yeah. I recently posted Instagram about I've been using the wild blueberries. I just like how small they are. They're like so cute. And everybody like was like, "Oh, I love that brand too." But I know like a lot of my clients who struggle with maybe like different family preferences use the frozen produce too to complement a meal, because you can kind of change any meal to make it fit your needs. So like a lot of clients I have that live with their parents maybe still like are in grad school and saving money, and their parents aren't on a health journey, which is fine, or they're fine with where they're at. And they're making all like a bunch of pasta or like a bunch of carby stuff. They like will just pull out their like frozen vegetables and add it to the plate and then help scale down those other items. And I think that's another way that having that like mix can really help with weight loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently had a client like that, but it was actually her husband. Like he was the one who did most of their cooking, and he, was a huge foodie and liked preparing mostly really like high calorie food. So we were able to, she kind of did the same thing, had some frozen veggies on hand and would just, roast those and prepare them that way she can fill up with a lot of those and then have, a smaller portion of the more decadent stuff.
Yeah, it's super easy to change anything. You don't have to like make separate meals and stuff like that. What is another tip that you have?
Have a snack before you go,
Oh,
because
okay.
if you go to the grocery store and you are really hungry, your blood sugar's dropping, all of those like sugary processed items are going to seem that much more appealing because your brain's thinking, oh yeah, we need those quick carbs. Yeah, it's totally fun to have some like treats planned in for the week. But if you go to the grocery store when you're super hungry, you're going to be, grabbing boxes of sugary cereal and cookies and, all that stuff.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's a good one that I forgot to put on here because it is so basic, but I do that all the time. I just moved to across from Trader Joe's. So I'm like a total Trader Joe's girly now. I've never really been one, but that's where all of the little snackies are. Like I never go and get like out of control meals. I'll just go like on a Friday evening when I'm like going to have like a fun day, and then I'll like accidentally go hungry and just like need one thing. And then I'll walk out with like chocolate covered everything. They have like chocolate covered every single thing you can think of. And I end up with like a whole bunch of stuff. But all that to say, like if I didn't go hungry, I feel like that wouldn't happen. But I think that's a really good tip, just making sure you like don't go in hungry to the grocery store.
Yeah, I feel like Trader Joe's is probably one of the worst because they have so many amazing snacks.
Yeah. I think one of my tips is to really like think through what you need for the week. So this is actually what like the whole module is about this month that I made for the Millennial Living theme. And because another thing I find is clients not really able to buy enough for themselves. Like they go to the grocery store and then they find that they still run out, even if they just live by themselves. So it's even harder if you live with people and you're buying for a whole family. But really thinking through like the amount that you need. And I think like in the beginning, you might need to be a little bit more regimented until you can really figure out, like, I know for me personally, I know that like I'm the only one in my family that eats bananas. So if I buy like 5 bananas, that lasts me through the week, but berries, like me and my husband both really like it. So I know I need to buy like 2 or 3 packs to get through the week. But I think for a client, it might be useful to maybe go through and make like a mini meal plan for yourself, or just think through like, okay, what's your one serving going to be at breakfast? What is your couple servings going to be at lunch? And what is something going to be at dinner with like a protein? Because I just feel like I hear time and time again that people run out too early, where you could either order more groceries or just try to like make a better plan in the beginning. Do you ever see clients like run out like that? Or what do you normally say for that?
Yeah, I think that is huge, especially in the beginning, making more of like a concrete plan of like sitting down and thinking, okay, this will be enough food for this many lunches, this
Mm.
many people. If you're gonna make dinner every night, or like what I like to do is maybe plan 3 meals for the week, but I make enough for us to eat 2 nights in a row. So like I'll prepare it one night and the next night we'll eat leftovers. Yeah, definitely thinking through that, because if you're just trying to on the fly grab some things for different meals, you're either gonna overdo it and end up with stuff that ends up going bad, or like you said, run out by the end of the week.
It might be annoying in the beginning until you really get in that flow, but it's not bad to eat like the same kind of foods every day. I feel like I've had a banana every day in my life for the past like 20 years, but I just know that like it's super easy, and like strawberries, that's easy too. And I buy very similar items, and clients do as well. They tend to understand eventually that it's okay to kind of always have like the same 2 fruits every day, if you really want to. But in the beginning, maybe just figuring out what that formula is for you, because I've just seen it too many times. What is another tip that you have for us?
You always hear like shop the perimeters. I would say start with the perimeter. Like maybe start there, take your time going through the produce, figuring out what you want to have there, fresh meats, cheeses, eggs, that sort of thing. Fill your cart up with those sorts of things first, and then go to the aisles, where more of the processed items reside. Because I feel like in a lot of cases, if you start with those, you're going to be more likely to put more of those in and less of the fresh stuff in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say that one too. That's like a classic dietitian tip for the grocery store. Shop the perimeter. Because when you think, yeah, that's like normally where the more, I always like struggle with a good word for this, like basic foods, like less processed, like actual fruits and vegetables, not like dried ones, or like actual, dairy, and not just like crackers and chips and stuff. But there can still be healthy foods in the middle areas. We like our whole grains, and we like our trail mixes and nuts and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with mostly filling up on the outside. I think to build on that, my other tip was going to be to really look in the deli section, or like that prepped area. Whenever I tell clients that you can find a lot of lead gems in there that I think people don't realize, like I mean, especially at Trader Joe's, they have like tons of like the salad kits or like sandwiches pre-made over there, or like they have like Asian noodle salad things. And especially like Whole Foods, they have so many like broccoli salads and prepped produce. If you if you find that your barrier to eating produce is you never actually cut it up, just go ahead and spend extra money on, the prep stuff that's already there. Or even you can get meals from there. So if you don't really want to do the meal delivery thing because they only deliver one day, which I hear is a common complaint, they have a lot of like the prep proteins already there. So like salmon, Trader Joe's does great like prepped chicken, like chicken breast that you could easily add to like a salad, or they have like green beans prepped at Whole Foods and stuff like that. So I always try to tell clients, if they don't want to cook, maybe experiment into that like deli area of a lot of places.
I've been loving smoked salmon lately. So either doing that on like some avocado toast in the morning, or you can just easily break it up and add it to a salad. Super easy, already prepped protein.
Yeah, you can find a lot of good stuff in there that a lot of people don't realize. I'll wrap it up with one more tip. So I think to pay attention to produce that is in season. A lot of times the produce that's in season will kind of be at the front of the store, but I think it also helps like give some variety. Catherine gave a good tip. We did a planning episode that I think will come out after this. And she talked about how you don't have to be like super specific with the produce you like put on a list. You could just say like, you need like 3 servings of fruit this week for snacking, and then go to the store and see what's on sale or something. But I would encourage you to look at what's in season so that you get some variety. If you do always get tired of the same produce when you go to the grocery store, like if you're always getting oranges, or you're like always getting grapes all the time, playing around with the seasonal produce can help, I think, add some variety, which makes it more fun to eat produce. And we always want to stress produce because it's super low calorie, really healthy food. And so, like I said, the ones at the beginning of the store tend to be the ones that are in season, like strawberries and watermelons, probably where everything's at the front. If you can even find strawberries, I can't really even find strawberries now. So it'll be cheaper. It'll taste better, which will encourage you to eat more, and it's low calorie overall. But do you tend to it sounds like you eat kind of like seasonally, or do you recommend with your watermelon?
I can never remember exactly when different things come in season. So I feel like every time I'm going to the grocery store or ordering groceries, I always just like Google a quick list of what's in season that month, and either keep it in a separate tab while I'm ordering groceries, or I like pull it up on my phone and looking at it while I'm at the grocery store. But probably going to be cheaper most of the time and going to taste better, which is going to make you more likely to want to eat it. So yeah, I definitely, like you, kind of have some of my go-tos that I'll have on hand all the time, but I do try to rotate some of the other more seasonal things.
Yeah. And I'm always like, when I get to the end of working with clients, if they're like super advanced, we've already kind of gone through like the 6 basic steps, or they renewed with me and we're just kind of hanging around for accountability, I'll really push them to try new produce, just again, so people don't get bored and then they resort back to eating whatever they were before. And so looking for more seasonal things, I think, is helpful. And I think right now, like you said, watermelon, strawberries, you can tell because they're like so cheap right now, like $2, I think, at Aldi. And I can't think of like lots of things the summertime, cucumbers, tomatoes, all of those things. We're really in a gold mine right now where you could eat a lot. But I think that's kind of it. So remember to sign up for Millennial Living. You get 2 weeks free in the beginning when you sign up, and we have tons of extra content. We really made this platform because I just can't always post all the things that I think are helpful on Instagram because I have to work with the algorithm. But on Millennial Living, we can post what we think is really helpful that people really need to see. And we kind of go over these monthly themes. So make sure to check it out. If you need an in-depth guide on how to go to the grocery store, that's what will be posted for sure, along with a lot of other materials. But thank you so much for joining us today, Courtney, on how to be successful at the grocery store.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. For daily weight loss tips and nutrition information, you can find us on Instagram at the.millennial.nutritionist and on TikTok at millennial.nutritionist. If you find this information helpful, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend who needs encouragement on their health journey. See you in the next episode.